Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with an exotic on the salt with Captain David Blinken and special guest Steve Ramirez. David, how are you?
I'm great. We're down here in Campeche, Mexico, at Tarpon town, and I'm here with Steve, and got to watch him experience his first tarpon yesterday on the fly.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. I saw the picture on Instagram, Steve, of you kissing the fish before you let it go back.
Well, I always thank them. But here at Tarpon Town, they wanted me to kiss it too. So I was happy to oblige.
A little bit of extra love. So, David, talk a little bit about the kind of, for folks that haven't been following us, kind of, what to expect when you come to Tarpon Town and what you've seen today in terms of conditions and what you expect kind of for the rest of your time down there.
Well, in terms of conditions, it's perfect tarpon weather. It's hot, it's humid, low wind in the morning with a little wind picking up in the afternoon. We have a high falling tide all day. And we've got a lot of fish cruising as they do in the summer.
That's pretty neat. And have you had to pour cold water on anybody to get them out of bed first thing in the morning before the sun comes up?
No, but we've had to pour cold water on ourselves while we're out fishing.
Fair enough. And, Steve, it's interesting before we started recording, we've been lucky enough to do a couple interviews together. And, I know for you, you travel to these destinations and you fish with fishing friends, and miraculously, these things become chapters in books or essays. And so I thought it'd be interesting for folks to kind of understand, what it is, for lack of a better word, when you're on assignment. Are you taking notes? Do you write at night before you go to bed? Do you just wait until you get home? But I thought we could give folks a little bit of an insight into that.
Sure, that's great. So I actually, everywhere I travel, I carry these little waterproof notebooks. And when I buy them at REI, one of the guys actually asked me, "Do you actually write in the rain?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually do all the time." So, so I do take notes, not always when I'm right there doing it, but sometimes I'll just sit on a rock and start writing. And I also take a lot of photographs that I'm not going to keep. A photo of flowers or growing out of a log or whatever, something strikes me, the clouds, to remind me. So I take my notes, and actually just before we got on here, I was taking notes about my day today, which was a solo with Roberto. And we're seeing easily, I saw 100 tarpon each day, easily, probably more, and getting a lot of casts and bringing some to the boat. So that's pretty good. So I'll take those notes. But then the other thing I do is very organic. So I'm writing a fifth book, which is the start of a new series for Lions Press. This will be part of it. It's also going to show up in a different format in Fly Fisherman magazine. But the way I write, I'm able to kind of place myself back where I was and relive it. And I never know what a chapter is going to be until I start creating it. It's almost like it's being funneled through me. As silly as that may sound, it just flows. And to this, I'm out on the water today, and I was thinking, what would this one be like? I was trying to decide whether I was going to name it in Spanish or English. So I'll get thoughts, and I'll write down things that have nothing to do with fishing, as you know, Marvin, like seeing yellow butterflies going across the ocean. And it makes me think of something, or hearing parrots and then seeing them in the trees. And I know people have told me when they read my writing that they love that they feel like they're there. And that's how I do it. I'm able to go back there in my mind and write it with as much passion and depth and description as I can.
I can tell you this. Last night at dinner, Steve was reliving a lot of yesterday. Watching the fish for the first time, seeing them in the air. I think if it wasn't a night, it would have been a nightmare had Steve not landed one.
Yes, quite a challenge.
And so, Steve, it's interesting. So, I know obviously you don't travel every single day. So do you generally, have a really good rough draft of that chapter from that experience before you go to the next one? Or do you sometimes have to?
No, I have I know exactly, well, I know roughly how the book will lay out because I've created it in my mind. And so I know the places I'm trying to go to because I know what the book needs to say. mean, it is a lot of fishing stories that are interesting. So this one's going to have Portugal and Mexico and maybe something in Central America and definitely the Amazon and then end up in Patagonia. I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know what's going to happen until I arrive at a place.
Got it. So you know the general arc as you're
Right.
going. And so, David, you and I have talked, and I've met Raul with you in Edison. You want to let folks know, I know you regularly visit Raul multiple times a year. You want to tell them a little bit about kind of how the fishing varies over the seasons and kind of what people can expect if they come with you or if they come on their own to Tarpon Town?
Absolutely. And in fact, there's two distinct seasons. There's the spring, summer, early fall, where you can get lots of fish, numbers. But November through April, you have the chance of getting bigger fish. Maybe not as many, but certainly bigger. And I'll give you an idea of size. Like today, we were catching fish between 5 and like 20 pounds. But in the other season, you can certainly expect to catch fish in excess of 25, 30 pounds, up to like 50, 60. It's not a regular thing, but they're around that time of year. So we tend to bring 8 through 10 weights is the range of rods.
Got it. And so if I remember correctly, you guys have 2 more days of fishing. Is that right? And then you fly home on Wednesday?
Well, I have 2 more days. Steve has 1 more day because he's going up to the Mayan ruins tomorrow and checking things out in the upcountry.
As you know, Marvin, it's not all about fishing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow, Raul and I are going to be doing some exploring, and I'm going to see the history of and the landscape of his home. And I can tell you, I've only been here 2 days, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. There's no way I would come down here and fish and not do it here with Raul in Tarpon Town. There's no way.
It's funny. I've been to the Mayan ruins once by choice, but 3 other times because we got blown out. And it's not an everyday thing. When you come in the winter, you come for 5 days, you expect to lose 1 because when cold fronts come down out of the north, you just can't fish. So, we'll go to the Mayan ruins, go to art galleries, great restaurants. So you have a lot of things you can do here. But in that winter season, you kind of have that expectation. It probably happens once out of every 4 trips, but you got to be ready for it.
Well, I hope both of you have an uneventful trip back on Wednesday. I was lucky enough to make it out of Dodge when the crowd flare problem happened. So I think I've probably used up all of my travel mojo for 2024. But also too, we're on the countdown. And so in less than a month, Steve, your final book of the casting series will be out, Casting Homeward. I know people can pre-order that on Amazon. I will drop a link in the show notes to that for folks. And I'll also drop a link, David, to Tarpon Town as well. And, folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us or DM us on social media, whatever's easiest for you. And as I always say, we need to make David's life easy. So just send them to me. Don't send them to David. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. And we're in a drawing for a Royal Wolf line of your choice. And, David and I wouldn't say we're smitten with Royal Wolf lines, but we do like them. And I don't fish the tropical saltwater ones, but I definitely fish the triangle tapers. And, they're great lines. So, send us your questions. And as I always say, folks, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody.